This is the third meditation on Jesus' word on the cross. And I'd like to take with you a passage that comes out of John, chapter 19. I'll start reading at verse 25. It goes like this. Now, there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother, and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing by, he said to his mother, Woman, behold your son. Then he said to the disciple, Behold your mother. And from that hour, that disciple took her to his own home. This is a special text because it sounds really different than what we are seeing this whole week with the different 7 words that Jesus speaks on the cross. Now, this one looks really practical. Jesus is taking care of his household business. So what's going on here? Well, if we look at the text, the first thing that we see is really touching, is really moving, is that Jesus is honoring his mother. He's taking care of his mother, and he's making sure that someone will be there for her. Probably Joseph was dead for a number of years now because we don't see him in the text. And probably the younger brothers of Jesus were not believers, as we can see in the rest of the New Testament. At this point, we see that Mary is alone, and Jesus, he's taking care of her. That's what we could expect from the custom of the Jewish people at the time, is that when there is a Jewish man on his deathbed, he would take his time to make sure that he would transmit his inheritance and make sure that the women of his household would be taken care of. So that's what Jesus does. And what's moving is that Jesus is a simple man. He has nothing that he can give to his mother, actually. His only belongings are his clothes that are now in the hands of the Romans. So what Jesus does, he has a spiritual inheritance that he will give to his disciples. Is the Holy Spirit, but on a natural level, he doesn't have an inheritance. The only thing he has are relationships, and so he connects his disciple to his mother so that they would take care of each other. And it's moving because we see a man that's dying on the cross. He's tortured to death on this horrible, terrible moment. But still, he's thinking about the well-being and the honor of his mother. But there's something more to this text, though. Because if you look at it, it's not that specific. It's not that practical. There's something about the text that makes it sound like it's actually not such a pragmatic concern that John has in writing the text. What I mean is that if you look at the text, there is no mention of the name of either Mary or John. So there are a few people at the foot of the cross. And there are 3 Marys. But the only Mary that we're not naming is the Mary that Jesus is speaking to. If you look at it, Jesus does not say mother or mom. He calls his mother woman. And even though it's not insulting, it was not common at the time to call your mother woman. So what's happening is that John, or Jesus, intentionally calls his mother woman. It looks like what's happening is that he's not being as personal or as specific as we would want it to be. We want to see what happened historically, but that's not the point. What's the point is the relationship that's being instituted between this woman and this disciple. What's important is that Jesus is actually inaugurating, he is starting a new kind of family. He's starting a new kind of relationship that is not based on the natural ties, not based on blood ties, but based on the Spirit, based on the faith. Why are they related now? Because they put their faith in Jesus. Because Jesus is their King. And so we have now a new kind of relationship that did not exist before. And it's not based on politics, or it's not based on blood. It's not based on what they look like or what they like or what their social status is. There's a new kind of community that was birthed at the feet of the cross. And this community is the church. The church. And people nowadays, they don't like the church. They don't like the institutional religion thing. They don't like to have this crowd of people that tell you what you should believe or not believe. But the truth is, Jesus, he loves the church. And Jesus says, you cannot be a Christian without belonging to the family. At the moment you put your faith in Jesus, you're part of our family. And independently of all your theological preferences or your ethnicity or your social status or anything, independently of that, you are part of the family. Which means now that you're called to love people that look different than you, think different than you, the people you don't even like sometimes. You have to love them. And I have to admit, I'm the first to admit it, in church history, we've not seen that a whole lot. I mean, we've seen a lot of blood and a lot of tears that were not the right kind of tears, but we've seen that. We've seen a church that is torn and that a church that doesn't look like family. But yet, Jesus has built a family at the foot of the cross. And he wants you to be part of it. And he wants you to take care of the people around you, the people that you know. You may not like them, but you have to love them because it's your family now. And so that's my encouragement to you. Now we're in this situation of quarantine. We can still take care of each other. We can still get in contact, get news, ask people how they're doing. You know, there are some lonely people that you know. Maybe you could call them. Maybe you could text them. Maybe you could help in some way some people that need your help. Maybe you can pray for your family. Maybe you can pray for the people God puts on your heart. So, right now, why don't you take a few minutes to pray for people in your church community, or people that you know are lonely, or people that you know they believe in Jesus, they are part of the family, but maybe they don't have this connection with the family. People who are in need. Just take some time right now to pray for them, to bless them, and maybe the Holy Spirit will direct you towards acting and loving them in a practical way. I see you tomorrow for the next saying of Jesus on the cross.